While I have the toggle effect that I want from these things, I have a bit of a problem here. Regardless of which chapter I click on, everything gets visible, right? Say I clicked on chapter 3 and chapter 1 and 2 also expand. I don't really want that to happen. What I want to happen is when I click on 1, just the chapter 1 elements open. When I click on 2, just the chapter 2 elements show, and so on. So now I have to come up with a strategy to implement that functionality. So before I do anything, let me think it out. How can I get that to work? Well, I know that I could target these things specifically if they had some kind of unique class on them. Not completely unique because, you know, we know that CSS IDs there could only be one of them on the page, but classes you could use multiple times. So that's why I'm thinking that if I put a class, like chapter 1 class on this H1, on this H2 rather, and then classes on these other elements, well then I'm actually going to be able to target them specifically, right? So here's what I'm going to do. First, let me start with I'm going to go to my HTML, and I am going here when I see the chapter 1. Let me go into my split view so I get into the code. I am going to add a class to this guy, and that class is going to be well, chap1, right? Now obviously you notice how that in my Dreamweaver it doesn't come up automatically because I haven't actually defined it yet in my style sheet. That's alright. For our purpose right now, we're actually only defining it for our JavaScript. So we're cool. Even though it doesn't show up, it's nothing to concern yourself about. I'll put chapter 1 there, and then in the DL I'll do the same thing. I'll add a class and I'll make it chapter 1. Okay, now obviously that's not going to change much of my document or its functionality right now. In order for me to do that, I need to go back into my JavaScript and get a bit more specific with what this thing's going to do. So now I don't want this thing, anytime I click an H2 tag, to toggle all the DLs. I want it to, when I click the H2 dot chapter 1, notice how I didn't even put a space or anything because it's just bringing it all together. I want anytime the H2 tag with the chapter 1 class that it's clicked on, I want it to toggle in the slide effect what? The dictionary list that also has the chapter 1 class, right? Now let's see if this is going to work for us. Okay, I cheated. I know it's going to work for us, but look. Yeah, there we go. Perfect, and it worked exactly how we want it to. So now when we click this, only that shows. So since we've tried it on one, let's go ahead and just put it on the rest. So I'm going to go back to my HTML. Let me find my chapter 2, and in chapter 2 I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add the class chap2. Same thing to the list inside over there, the dictionary list, chap2. And then if I go down to my chapter 3, I'm going to do the exact same thing as well. Chap3. And how can I quickly do this in my JavaScript? All I'm going to do is, since I know this function works over here, I'm just making some space. I'm going to copy this. And now you know all I need to change, right, to make all this work. This is chapter 1. This is H2 chapter 2, DL chapter 2, and oopsie, 3, and we'll do 3. And let's make sure we're always getting some clean formatting over here. Alright, now hopefully this works like a charm. Cool. Look at that. So yeah, so here's chapter 1, here's chapter 2, and here's chapter 3. Pretty easy.